welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a little different than what I usually make. I feel a little uncomfortable making this one, if we're being honest, just because it's a little more personal, I guess you can call it. Anyway, today's video is on my worst Tinder dates, and I realized that these stories were a little short to have them each be their own YouTube video, so I just decided to concise them all into this one. So without further ado, let's get into the first story. So the first guy, we're gonna go ahead and call him Andy. And Andy was, without a doubt, a very attractive, I think he was Ukrainian, like 6'5", blue or green eyed, I don't really remember. But he was very attractive. And I had actually seen him in housing once, and so I saw him and I was like, oh, he's pretty attractive. That was that. And I guess he saw me too, because then we matched on Tinder. And he went ahead and told me that he had seen me on housing, and I was like, oh, really, did you? And I was trying to play it off. I wasn't going to tell him that I saw him too, because, it's just weird. He was like, yeah, you look really good. And I was like, thanks, even though I really didn't. I can promise you, I had just woken up 30 minutes ago, and I think I was just about to go to the gym. Who looks cute going to the gym in the morning? No one. But anyway, we matched on Tinder, and we kind of just started talking. But you know when you get a creepy vibe from a guy just through text? He was just a weird texter. There's no other way to say it other than that. And I noticed something. I noticed that he had a ton of different Tinders that it kept on saying that had a ton of different names. Wasn't even okay, his name was Andy, and then the other one was Andrew, or no, it was okay, let's just say his name was Andy, then you would see another profile and his name was Vladimir. It was just no correlation whatsoever. And so I asked him, I was like, why do I see different names? He goes oh, it's just because no one could pronounce my normal name. His name is a 5-letter name. It's not that complicated to pronounce, so that was just a weird thing. Off the bat, I feel that should have been a red flag, but did I take it as a red flag? No, because I was, mesmerized by his beauty. Anyway, he had been texting me for a while, and he kept on asking me to hang out, but things just kept on coming up, actual excuses. And he asked me to hang out one day, at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. And I was just not feeling it. And he was like, oh, okay. He was being very manipulative. He was telling me he was gonna go home and drink his sorrows away and get drunk by himself. And I was just like, okay, you do that, be safe, have fun. Weeks went by, and I think we had made plans to hang out on a Monday, because he literally sent me his entire schedule to look at, to pick whenever I could. And I felt bad not doing it now that he was being so freaking flexible. So I was just okay, a Monday. I think we were both free at a certain time. And so I asked him if that worked for him, and he was like, yeah, of course. And so I think the day before, I was talking to my RA, and I asked her about him, because she's an upperclassman. I was like, have you heard of this dude? And she was like, oh my gosh, don't go out with him. He's very creepy. He has gone on a date with a few of my friends, and he's just very sus. And, oh, I just said sus. Who am I? Wow, I'm so modern. So I think I canceled last minute, and I know that's kind of suckish to do, but I just felt very uncomfortable, and I didn't want to go out with him. And I had already agreed to go out with him on campus, meet up with him somewhere on campus, because I didn't feel going into a vehicle alone with him. So I agreed to meet up with him. But after that, I canceled, and I told him that something came up, and he just got livid. He was so mad. I don't think anyone has ever been this mean to me through text. He was just telling me off. He was just being so completely rude. And I just was completely over it. I didn't even reply to him. And then afterwards, the next week, I went to this cafeteria place on campus, and the place is always so crowded and full. No, well, that day I went, it was completely empty, and I was like, of course. It was lunchtime too. Why is it empty at lunchtime? I don't know. But then I saw him, and I was like, no. So I just looked the other way, and I was like, he's not gonna notice me if I just look the other way. He's not gonna notice me if I just look the other way. So then I looked to see if he's still there, and before I know it, he's already staring at me, and I was just damn it. So he came over, he started talking to me, and I was like, oh, God, what do I even say to a guy that just told me off last week, and he was being a complete jerk? But I didn't want to be rude and just walk away either. So then I was just having small talk with him. And he wanted to go in for a hug, and I was just completely I had just come back from the gym. I wasn't looking too cute. So then I was like, no, I'd hug you, but I'm just very my life was just not together at that moment. I think I had my water bottle in my hand, I had my phone, I was just holding so many things. My backpack was open, my life was just a mess. It was oh no, I don't mind, you look really good. And I was stop lying. I didn't say that obviously, but I thought it, because who looks good after the gym? No one. Not I. So then he went in for a freaking bear hug, and I was he literally was just telling me off last week, why are you hugging me? I was just being awkward because I was uncomfortable, and he wasn't talking much either. And I was like, if you're gonna walk over to start talking, maybe you should talk. And then I didn't know what to say, so I was like, did you have class today? And he said, I did, but I didn't feel like going today. Like, I could have checked his freaking schedule since he had sent it to me, but, you know, I wanted to be normal and make some conversation. And he said he didn't feel like going, and I said, well, to each their own. This isn't the first time I've heard him, like, say that he didn't want to go to class. So, I mean, we love a boy with goals and ambitions. It's really cute. I just didn't know what else to say, and it was just very awkward. And he goes like, oh, by the way, I'm really sorry for, like, being rude to you the other day. I feel really bad. And his apology didn't really seem sincere. He was kind of, like, excusing his behavior. He was like, I just had like a really tough day that day and I just felt frustrated, and I was like, okay, that's fine. And I just wanted to get out of there. Like, I wasn't about to like tell him off either. I was just like, I wanted to go to my dorm. Like, I felt really uncomfortable. Just the way he was like looking at me was just creeping me out. Andy just wasn't it. I haven't heard from him to this day, and I hope that I don't. I don't know if I have him on stuff or if I blocked him or he blocked me. I really don't remember. But Andy is canceled. The next guy we're gonna talk about is definitely my least favorite of them all. He is very, very not high up on the list, and his name, or we're gonna call him Alex. So Alex, a character to say the least. So we started talking, and then I think not even a week later, I think it was actually like 4 days later, and he asked me to like hang out, and I was like, oh, that's cool, like he seems like a cool dude. I will say one thing though. He was like extremely clingy to the point where he would message me on Instagram because I didn't give him my number, just because I didn't vibe with him to that point. I was like, I think it's weird to give people my number like right off the bat. So I gave him my Instagram so we would talk through there. And he was very, very clingy. Like, he would message you so fast, like extremely fast. And if you wouldn't reply really quickly, he would send like a question mark and be like, hello, like, I just think that's so annoying. Like, I'm gonna get to your message, just hold. I think we finally agreed to going out. This was not that long ago, sadly. So I think it was like last month or like 2 months ago. It was like 2 months ago. And he picked me up, and he was driving an Audi. And I mean, I noticed that right off the bat. I was like, oh, that's like nice and impressive, you know, like it's not very often when you see like a young person with a really nice car. And he was obviously the only car in my driveway, and he was revving his engine so loud, and I was like, dude, I see you, there are no other cars, like you don't have to like point yourself out that way. And he just kept on doing it, and I was just kind of like, okay, that's different. So I got in his car, and right off the bat he was very awkward. Like, not even awkward, he was just serious and just very douchey. And I felt very uncomfortable and out of place real quick. He was in a bad mood because apparently he was having roommate drama where his roommate wanted to move in his girlfriend and all this stuff, and it was just very uncomfortable, to say the least. And he was just in a very bad mood. I just don't think you should be going out if you're gonna be in a bad mood, because that just makes the other person very uncomfortable, as I was. And so afterwards, he did say one thing though, and he goes like, so how are we paying for this? And I mean, I don't mind like paying for my own ticket, but when you brag about having so much money, which of course wasn't his money, it was daddy's money, just like it was daddy's Audi, I just found it a little interesting. I was like, oh, like I guess I can Venmo you. And he was just like talking about his like roommate stuff, and then I really didn't know what to say. Like, what? Like, I don't even know the people. And so afterwards, he just put the music like really loud to the point where he obviously didn't want to talk. Like, he didn't want to talk at all. And I just felt so uncomfortable. So whenever I would try to make small talk, he would just look at me like, yeah. Like, he just wasn't having it. I felt so out of place. He was 45 minutes late, I forgot to mention. He was 45 minutes late to pick me up. We had to go to a later showing, so now we had time to kill. So we went to the Yard House before to get some drinks, even though I'm a freaking 12-year-old, so I can't drink anything, obviously. So I was just having a tea. I was too sober to deal with him. Like, that's the moral of the story. I was too sober to deal with him. Then afterwards, he was just such a rude person to the waitress. Like, he was just like snap his fingers at her, give really like a crappy tone at her, and I just felt so bad because she was so sweet. And I'm just not that type of person that's rude to people just for fun. Like, I don't understand that. I don't understand his arrogance. He was very misogynistic. You can just understand right off the bat. He would talk really like badly on like any woman, but he was talking so much crap about his roommate's girlfriend that he had a problem with. He was saying, if you're gonna be a pain in the to have around, then at least I would hope you have something nice to look at. Like, calling her ugly, and then he called her fat and just all this stuff, and I was just so like, dear Lord, get me out of here. I don't think I've ever had a moment like that in any date that I've been on where I was just like, why did I come? Like, why did I come? I just want to be at home, not here, anywhere but here. I would rather be in a calculus class, and that says a lot about me. We went to the movie finally, and you know, I actually wanted to watch this movie because I had seen previews of it like weeks ago, and you know, I paid for it, so I just wanted to enjoy the movie. But no, I felt him in the corner of my eye just staring at me the entire time. Thankfully, or so I thought, our seats had the little armrest thing that lift up and down, but he didn't know that at first, and then he figured it out. So then he lifted it, and he was just kind of getting really close to me, and I was like, dude, I am actually trying to watch this movie. We were watching the Yesterday movie that was like based on the Beatles, and I love the Beatles. Like, I really wanted to watch the movie, but now that movie's tainted. Like, everything about it is tainted. Like, the entire movie, he was just staring at me, trying to like, then I got home, thank the Lord, and he kept on texting me, and he was just being extremely sexual through text, extremely. And I was just not having it. I felt really uncomfortable with him. I told him how I felt, and then he goes like, really? So it's just goodbye then? Like, he tried to break up with me, and I was like, dude, we've been talking for 4 days. Why? He just blocked me, and to this day, I think I'm blocked by him, so, I really don't like Alex. This next one I think is kind of funny. Like, he's not awful, but like, it's just kind of funny. We're gonna call him Nathan. So Nathan and I obviously started talking through Tinder. So Nathan messages me, and I noticed he didn't have his age on his profile, and I mean, I just kind of want to know because, I mean, it's not like I'm like really strict with that or anything, but like, I just wanted to know. I think I asked him, but I literally don't have the text anymore because they were on Snapchat, so they deleted, but I could have sworn he told me he was like 20 and I was 18, so I didn't think it was that bad. I was like, yeah, it's fine. He wasn't 20, he was 26. He told me that on the date, actually. The first thing he said when I got in the car was, he said, wow, I've never been on a date with someone as young as you. And I was just like, how old are you? He was like 26. And I said, right. So, not that, I mean, yeah, it's 8 years of difference. I think when you're talking about an 18-year-old with a 26-year-old, it's a little weird. Oh, then we went to a restaurant. I can't complain, the restaurant was fine. However, it was an hour away from LA. And I feel like if you're in LA and I live in LA, like, you probably shouldn't take me out of LA. Like, just a thought. Like, I felt like it was just such a long drive, and it was a Wednesday night. I had a class the next day pretty early, and he knew that. We went to some random restaurant, and the entire time, he was just very creepy. Like, he thought very much of himself, I guess, because then he was like, I bet you've probably stalked my Instagram before, huh? I was like, no, I didn't even know you had an Instagram. Like, I was completely being 100% like honest. Like, I didn't know he had an Instagram. Like, I didn't ask him for his Instagram. I think I just had his Snapchat. He kept on ordering a lot to drink, like a lot of beer, and I noticed he was getting like pretty tipsy, and I was just, again, too sober for this crap. And he just kept on giving like creepy stares the entire night, and I was like, dude, like, I feel really out of place. Like, you're a great guy for a 26-year-old woman, but for an 18-year-old girl, I'm just not down. But I mean, he was fine. He wasn't bad. He just kind of lied about his age for like a minute, and just the last guy I want to talk about is pretty douchey also. I think he kind of is up there. We're gonna call him Brian. He lived probably 15 minutes away from my house. It's not that far, so he could have picked me up, but he said that could we meet up, and I was like, okay, I guess, like, that's fine. I don't drive or anything, but that's cool. So I Ubered to wherever we were gonna meet up, and I got there before him, actually, even though I was already late. So I had to wait like 10-15 minutes, and I was just like, okay, that's cool. So I get there, and the first thing he tells me was, you know, I was originally gonna swipe left on you when I saw that you were 5'8", but then I realized you were pretty hot, so I guess I swiped right. He said that. I wish I was making this up. Anyway, we literally didn't do anything that day. He kept on mentioning how broke he was, and I don't know if that was because he was trying to like make up for him not like picking me up or something. And I don't mind if you're like not like, if you don't have money, obviously I don't care, but like, we could have done something that was like fun for not that much money. Like, that's fine. Anyway, this dude was obsessed with his truck. Like, when I say obsessed, I mean obsessed with his truck. Like, it was his baby, his, like, he loved it so much. And I didn't really get it. It was an ugly old truck. Like, if he heard me right now, he would probably spit on me. Anyway, so then he was like, hey, I have to like pick up some money for my friend because I sold him my jewel. And I said, what? On a date, you're gonna pick up money from your friend because you sold him your jewel? Okay. okay. At this point, I was just along for the ride. I was like, okay, whatever. So he met up with his friend. I actually went to high school with his friend, and his friend was very awkward, and I felt was very awkward because I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing in this truck. Like, I don't know how I got so desperate to be in this truck. And he was just being creepy. He was like, wow, like those eyes, they're very, very beautiful. Like, I bet they can get anything they wanted. I was like, apparently they can get picked up from their house. After he met up with his friend and got his money, he took me out to a lookout spot. This would be cute if I was in LA for this, but I was here in Palm Springs for that. There's not that many lookout spots. It is a small little desert. And by lookout spot, he meant an abandoned freaking desert. There was nothing to look at. So at this point, my best friend was freaking out because I was in the middle of a desert with some random Tinder boy. Like, I would be freaking out too. And so he was like texting me, and so I replied to him. I was like, oh, don't worry, I'm fine. I'm just not having the time of my life. Just trying to get like really like get it on. I was just not feeling it. Like, I really wasn't. And so I think eventually he just took me home, and then he started texting me, like being like super sweet, acting like my boyfriend. I was like, I don't know you like that. So he was like, good night, baby, or stuff like that. And I was like, do not call me baby, like, ew. And then the next day he messages me and he goes like, hey, by the way, like, if we're gonna keep like doing this, like, I just want you to know that we're gonna have to take it to like the next level by like doing it. And I replied with, as much as I want to do it in your Chevy truck, I don't, but thank you so much for asking. I'm good. And he blocked me, so I haven't heard from him since. I think he's still obsessed with his truck probably. But anyway, those were amazing stories that I honestly could live without, but I guess you learn from them, so that's that. And I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this, and if you did, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and let me know what else you guys want to see from me, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.